Hi, Bill here. I think I'm just going to be honest with you and tell you what I think about HOAs. And I belong to three of them, if not four. And I'm going to tell you what I think is good about them. And then I'm just going to tell you the truth. And before you consider an HOA, depending on what part of life you're in, I'm going to share with you the backdoor headaches that come with an HOA. First of all, an HOA is good because it provides value for the amount of money. If you're paying, like I was, $110 a month and you had a swimming pool, an exercise room, a gated entrance, they mowed in the front and back of your yard, by all means do it. That would be the best thing. That was a good, perhaps, experience with an HOA is I got a big bang for my buck on one of my properties. Second property I had wasn't so good. It had a lot of, once you joined and built a house, it had a lot of problems. One was they had too much property that wasn't deemed tax. It wasn't deemed by the city as untaxable. In other words, the city hadn't forgiven large pieces of the property inside the HOA to be part of an HOA and deemed deemed relief from any tax burden. So we spent years fighting that to be able to get the city to release those properties. In the meantime, we all had to pay assessments on the tax on those properties, and that was a pain in the butt. I'll just be honest with you. To be able to have to pay $1,000 or $2,000 extra because somebody didn't lay out the property quite right in building the HOA, and by then that guy's long gone or that company doesn't want to take responsibilities. The second is there's a lot of other headaches that go on with an HOA, tons of them. And so I'm going to go through those, and you can leave comments. And by the way, you can subscribe to me. I'm going to, as time goes on, talk about some really interesting areas. But I'm not going to be from a flavor of, hey, would you decide to do? I'm just going to tell you as it is. And you can believe it, take my opinion, but it's going to have a heavy opinion on what I think you should do. I have seen properties that I'm prepared to buy that might have two HOAs, one regular HOA and then an HOA inside the HOA. Bottom line is you're paying all this money for nothing. On the East Coast, Florida, you seem to be paying very heavy HOAs. The older the building, the older the property is, the more that HOA can go up because of expenses they didn't decide they were going to have 20 years ago. An example would be an elevator. Say you're in a building, you're in an HOA, and the building's 20, 30 years old. The elevator goes past 6 floors. The cost of maintaining that elevator, just the elevator, can throw your HOA out of whack. The structure of the building, the mold issues. If you're in Florida and your building was built after the 70s, the pipes are disintegrating, there's stuff in there that you may not know. And that's why maybe the property's at a bargain price. Look at the HOA. I'm looking in California and some parts in Nevada even, where the HOAs are $500 and $600. On one property in San Clemente, the HOA, because it was a trailer that had been converted into a house, the HOA was $3,500 a month. It's just nuts. And that's money you really can't retrieve back. Third thing about an HOA is you're involved with people that don't want to follow rules. And so you got neighbors that are parking RVs or cars, or they're parking overnight, and they don't want to adhere to the rules. So they'll put up a fight at an HOA meeting. A lot of your meetings designed to talk about issues they can't come to an agreement with. And so you got to listen to that, and you got to vote on that, and that may cause feelings. And it doesn't create a community. A lot of times it divides a community. So just be careful of that. The next thing I'm going to tell you about HOAs is do not put your hand up to be part of the presidency of an HOA. And let me tell you why. If you're a part of the presidency of an HOA, you're the one that may have to go door to door knocking and allowing and making people comply with issues. And they end up hating you. They end up slamming the door in front of your face. You end up not making friends. And on the other side, when you report that you're not able to make headway, the group thinks you're an idiot because you're not able to get that. You're really you want to be unpopular, be a president of an HOA. Can't think of anything. Unless you're young and you're full of energy and you want something to kind of go out with some experience and you like the drama, I wouldn't sign up for it in a million years. The second thing about HOAs is they can go up. You're looking at a fixed price. They do an assessment. I know one HOA where the swimming pool dropped like 10 inches. They had to rebuild the pool, so now they got to assess everybody for the 50 or 60 grand or 100 grand it cost them to redo the pool. Now, that might be okay. You're in the mix. You like that pool, and you're not minding a $400 or $500 assessment. That might be good. I don't know. You decide. But HOAs, in my opinion, have been not the outstanding experience. In fact, when I'm looking for property, I'm really looking and scrolling down to see there's no HOA. I figure if there's no HOA, I can pay another $10,000 or $20,000 for that property, because when you take an HOA and take it by 5 years, times it by 10 years, you certainly can buy a bigger house, better property, better area. Be looking for a non-HOA. Now, I'm open. If there are people that absolutely love their HOA, please comment. I'll respond to your comments. I would have to think in the Sun Cities and the areas, the bigger Del Webbs, and I'm not, this isn't advertising for Del Webb, but just to get the idea that they probably hammered most of that out, and the people there are probably enjoying each other and look forward and attract to that type of HOA, but I wouldn't call that an HOA. I would more or less call that a community. And I might get sucked into that type of style just to have the people surround me that have the same likes and interests and would go jogging or whatever. Don't jog, but just we'll go out and have fun with you. Go out to dinner, that kind of thing. Just be careful. If you're gonna spend all this time spending time on a house, make sure you're spending that much time finding out what the heck's going on in the HOAs. By the way, listen to this very carefully. Just hear me out. You need the minutes before you buy a house, and they give this to you. It's part of the law that they got to do. But you just don't want 1 month of minutes. Go back and get a whole year so you can see what's going on. A lot of things happen in HOAs. I had a drug rehabilitation center in one of my HOAs. Take up all your time. Take up your lawyer's time. You have to buy a lawyer to figure out if they're supposed to be there or not. It's just, let me tell you something. Nobody will tell you this. I can't find anywhere on YouTube where somebody's going to talk to you about this in this detail. But you need to research the HOA as much as you're going to research that house. You want to go knock on doors, not next to the house, but walk around and say, hey guys, just thinking about buying in the neighborhood. What do you think about the HOA? Tell me your thoughts. How long have you been here? I would really want to know your input. Last thing, just research. This is a world of researching. You can research the copies of the minutes of the HOA before you make a decision. Look at the swimming pool, walk around it, look at the exercise equipment, look at the facilities. Does it look modern? Does it look like something you're attracted to, or is it 20 or 30 years old and they just kind of maintain it and clean it and it's just dated? Well, it's what you're buying. You're owning a piece of that. One HOA was that I owned 1/42 of the property that we had in our HOA, and that stunk because you're paying tax on that, and you're liable, and you can't sell your property if the HOA has got issues. So think about all that. Please comment. Please follow if you like what you hear. I'll bring up a lot of good information to share with you. And honestly, want to hear from you. I'll answer anything you got going on and give you my comments. And would love to hear yours. Thanks.